Thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure to have you. This is the first Toda.Day ever in this universe, but it won't be the last, I can assure you. We've worked a long time to get here. Some folks they tell me, how long did it take you to build this protocol? And I say, excluding the years from 2001 until 2015 in February when I called Dan at 4:15 in the morning, you can count it from then until now. So it took a while. We got to a point where we have a lot of assurance of what we're bringing into this world, and we are quite delighted to see you all trying to help us bring this world to a much better stage of where it's at today, or where it could be in the future. We live in a time where it's an unprecedented time where the world is evolving progressively quite nicely. And if you look at the history of humanity, we've seen lots of ups and downs, but this is the highest ever recorded. And we want to make sure that we continue going higher in a way that we can ensure liberty as we're progressing nicely in this world. So I'm going to talk quickly about Toda protocol, why it exists, about some of the Toda, built on Toda companies. Many of you are here today, 11 I believe. And tomorrow we have the AI decentralized. We're expecting over 500 people. Many of them, they're AI specialists and cryptographers, which is the mission to bring them together. Just to clarify, I am the link myself between those two. Officially, the actual Toda.Day and AI decentralized themselves, they don't have a link, official link. There's sponsorship and so on and so forth, a lot of people in common. So today, when you were walking in, you might have seen that it says AI decentralized, ACM, whatnot. That's a mistake that the hotel made. Today it's Toda.Day, and tomorrow it's an ACM, AI decentralized. Cool. So why do we do what we do? And mainly the promises of the blockchain are too good to pass on. Many of you have heard of, the medical, legal, law enforcement, IoT, cybersecurity, banking, and so on and so forth. We have evidence that over 90% of the companies that are being built on the blockchain, they will not make it to life because of the core technology that's powering it. And that's why we exist. We exist to make sure to bring those promises to life because they are so good to pass on. Let's pick one problem, let's say fintech. If you look at the current electronic money offerings in the emerging market, that's only one out of 50 plus promises of the blockchain. So blockchain is not only about money, money is just one out of the things the blockchain can enable, okay? If we were to pick fintech, every electronic money system that is being offered in the emerging market extracts wealth through every single transaction from the emerging market, yet it promises that it's enabling the emerging market to get towards prosperity and whatnot. We need to raise the bar. We need to raise the bar to look at what do they have. They have the people, they have mobile, and they have a network. And that's what Toda needs to run, nothing else. No servers, no cloud, no databases, no miners, none of that. Often those, they exist out of the emerging market, and when they exist out of the emerging market, they have a cost. There's no escape from the cost. Folks, they can hide the fees, they can show you that something doesn't have fees or whatnot, but the cost is inevitable, and if the cost exists, it's going to leak out of the emerging market wealth. So that on top of governance and centralized exchanges, they add a lot. So that's one example out of many. That example can be applied to every single element of all the process of the blockchain. So if you were to be building this planet, somewhere else, we would start by building the roads, and then we would build cars. But that's not how things evolve. The cars existed first, and then the roads. And similarly, the current blockchain existed first, and then Toda. Every single blockchain will need to sit on Toda. If it's not going to be Toda, it's going to be a copy of Toda. Toda is not a blockchain like all the other blockchains. There's 1,400 blockchains, a copy of Bitcoin. They make some changes to it, and they call it innovation, but it's a copy of Bitcoin. Toda is the layer 0 that sits below that. It's more like the next evolution of TCP/IP that can enable every single blockchain to sit on top of it to benefit from security, efficiency, confidentiality, and scalability. Beyond that, it can benefit from interoperability as well as a bonus, which we can get to that. So the Toda.T standard packet looks like something like this. Might look like a pretty image circle that my son did, but it's actually, I did that. And it's a representation of something like what we have in Toda version 1 is a Toda file, in Toda version 2 it's a Toda packet. And the packet is similar to the TCP packet that sits on top of IP, but yet each and every packet has a unique number universally, and with that it's able to transmit value without having to depend on ledger. So I can get to explain a little bit how, and then we can move on to the Toda.Day. So how it's able to do that and how it's able to have a unique number universally, you might think that that's a lot of numbers. So Toda data structure is one huge binary tree that has 256 levels. Now binary tree, for those that don't know what binary tree, this is how the binary tree looks like, okay? When you imagine 256 levels, almost every human brain can imagine 256 levels. The other cool thing is, every machine, even from the 70s, can traverse that tree without having a lot of computation. But all the computers in the world today, they cannot even create that tree, they're not even part of that tree. That tree on level 160, it can have more points than estimated atoms in the universe. So at level 256, it can have 10 to the power 16 universes, representations of atoms, so that's a lot of universes if you guys want to create universes. It would be kind of cool. So at level 96, it's more like the TCP/IP IPv6, where it can give a unique number for every single device. At level 32, where each and every packet can have a unique number. Now when the packet is being transmitted from one owner to the next, the cryptographic signature is added to it. But on top of that, there's something that's called a Merkle tree, which folks they call it the T-Merkle because it's a deterministic Merkle tree, but it uses the Merkle tree as a map as it's being built, where it does temporal coupling for each and every packet that is going up to that tree. So if you're going up 64 levels, this is the work that is needed, and we call that distributed work. The distributed work is necessary in Toda as the proof of work, rather than having the hash cache, which burns more electricity in the country of Iceland just to run 3 transactions per second. That was not intended by design, by the way. The initial Bitcoin design was purist, was intended to give each and every one of you, and each and every one that you know, the ability to do the mining. But an exploitation of that happened about 5 years and 4 months ago that got it to where it's at today, using something that is called the hash cache, an exploitation of hash cache, where you have to guess a number that starts with 70 zeros binary. And then when you do that, you call yourself a miner, and then that's what you do every day, wake up in the morning, and like, I'm going mining. And what you end up with, a few coins that they're supposed to belong to the people that they believe that that is worth something. So you end up burning a lot of electricity and still do the exact same transactions per second as throughput. That's not what we do with Toda. We do distributed computing that is needed by each and every one of us, and needed by the system to run. So that's the how, and I'm going to jump to how. Why do we care about 5 global standard bodies? Those are ITU, IETF, ISO, W3C, and ACM. Whenever you're building a hardware, if you look at some of the standards that are out there, and for the protocols like TCP/IP or HTTP, your device needs to know how to communicate with another device. So when you're having a video chat, say you're in Japan and I'm in Canada, millions of those packets, it gets transmitted per second. But as they're being transmitted, there's certain protocol and standards that each and every device understands. It's more like the same language, rather than having like one device speaking Korean, another one speaking Hebrew. They're not going to understand each other. One is speaking English, another one speaking French. So it gives them the ability to speak the same language so they can communicate back and forth. Now, those standard bodies have been ignored by almost every blockchain company. We're not ignoring anybody. We're here for everyone on the planet. If you breathe, we're here for you. Is that the opportunity that was estimated that 57%, the percentage of corporations looking into integrating blockchain in 2017, $20 billion is expected growth of global market blockchain technology by 2020. That was estimated like a couple of years ago. And it was estimated by very, very credible folks from McKinsey, Deloitte, and so on and so forth. By the way, just to give credit to Deloitte, Deloitte are the ones that they call this technology distributed ledger technology, but it turns out that there's not a single blockchain that is distributed. A blockchain is not necessarily a ledger, but the good part that Deloitte got is the third one. It is a technology. So, you know. So, with that as well, they had some estimates. There's $20 billion expected worth of global market for blockchain technology by 2020. Yet when we look at what happened a couple of years ago, if that's the opportunity, turns out that the expected 2020 is this bar, they realized by 2018 is that bar, which is about, 20 times more. And that's what we have witnessed so far. There's a lot more to come. Now, the expected in 2022 is just a little bit, double than that. And it's also by experts, the same guys, they're still employed, like the Deloitte guys, and so they have the double, maybe triple, and but we do have different expectations. I just put some exclamation mark. What do we expect this? And it's kind of off the chart. When I did this presentation, I kept kind of going for Mexico. All right, so we need to reset the expectations. The global economy today, $940 billion in transaction fees that is being spent every year. That's just the fees alone. We expect a lot more, or over all the other industries, about $3.5 trillion just in transaction savings. And the raison d'etre of the blockchain is to reduce that friction. So what is required to achieve this? Trustless value exchange, secure transactions which can scale globally in a sustainable low-cost infrastructure. Toda.18, and that's why we're here. What are we doing today? And it's basically each and every project will have about 20 minutes. Every project is an actual company. It's self-funded, self-sustainable. We stand behind every single company. That's what we exist with Toda.Network. Along with sometimes a company that they're doing joint venture with, sometimes it's an executive team. Together, it's more like, if you think about it, two people, they like each other, but when they like each other so much, end up having babies. So that's what we're doing, and we're making sure that we're taking care of those babies, giving them fantastic DNA and great raising and so on and so forth. We go through that today. We introduce the team, the problem, scope, solution, technology, the implementation demo if applicable. Some of the companies that they are presenting today, they're already at a later stage. We have Toda.Q, which I'm not sure if Hassan is here. He's already got $1.32 billion under management. He's gone through Series A, which is about $8 to $9 million, and they already started a bit earlier than other companies. Some other companies that they came in as potential clients like Wiki, and we might convert them into partnership. We'll see how that goes. Maybe we should have talked before I said that, but and we have other fantastic companies that just got accepted recently, along with a lot of supporters of the Toda.Network, between investors, executives, phenomenal folks, all of you. So that's what we have the setup. How can a business built on Toda benefit? We put them in 4 words: security, efficiency, confidentiality, and scalability. Every single blockchain needs to bring those 4 points, and between them it's an and, not an or. You can't just bring security or efficiency. It has to be security and efficiency and confidentiality and scalability. Now the cool thing about those 4 words, if you were to just like, put in the first letter of each and put them together, they spell the word sex. My son told me not to use that, but he's not my boss yet. So that's what we have in Toda Protocol Values. I would like to welcome Todd Gebhart, who's our founding chairman, and he was the vice chairman of Intel Security. Prior to that, he was the co-president of McAfee. He's had over 30 years in cybersecurity and helped us along the way to get to where we are today. Thank you very much, and please welcome Todd.
Okay, I feel like the accounting firm that he was referencing there. I think I'm probably not anywhere near in the same zone as Toufi is half the time. But thanks, Toufi. And welcome indeed. This is truly an exciting day for all of us that have been part of the Toda.Q company and Toda.Network. For me personally, it's very exciting because it's the first opportunity that I've had to see the results of a lot of hard work and accomplishments that have been made. Toufi and I first met a little more than 3 years ago. We were introduced to one another through a mutual friend who was in the venture capital business at the time. And Toufi was meeting with him to discuss his ideas about building a frictionless platform that was more cost effective and more scalable than the technologies that were in the marketplace today, and take advantage and help a world of applications that range from healthcare to business, to insurance, to medical transactions, to electrical payments in developing countries and more. And it would do it in a way that was more scalable and more interoperable than anything that anyone would build or ever had at that point. Well, what came out of that meeting was the mutual friend we had understood and heard one word called secure, and quickly thought, I better introduce Toufi to Todd. And that's how we met, and that began our 3-year journey. Actually, I guess I should say that began my 3-year education of what Toufi and Dan, who I met telephonically about a month and a half later, were about to do. Well, I didn't understand much about what this protocol was about, but Toufi and Dan put together an amazing presentation with great charts. And I was really, really impressed. I was impressed with all of the pictures, some of which you saw here today, all of the designs, all of the architecture. But what I was more impressed with was the in-depth knowledge that these 2 individuals had, and the excitement and the enthusiasm that they had for what they were about to pursue. I also understood that should this protocol work, the opportunity for this decentralized technology for design had tremendous potential. The opportunity to improve the way applications work, to make them more cost-effective, more usable, and to inject a more transparent and secure method of these applications just created a global potential that was very, very big. I became very excited about this, but one thing hit me right away. It was with the development of all of this technology that was underway in this protocol that Toufi had developed, security was going to have to be an utmost factor in everything that was done. And I was very pleased that Toufi and Dan shared my view of how important security was going to be to this important technology. For 3 years now, we've had standing Monday morning calls. And Dan is in Toronto, and I'm in California. And we always look forward to finding out where Toufi would be taking the call from. We didn't know if he was going to be in London or Dubai or Japan or Korea or Hong Kong or Singapore. It didn't really matter. We knew he was going to dial in. We just didn't know where it was from. Toufi truly is one of the few people that I've met in my life that actually traveled more than I did when I was in business full time. I don't know how he does it, but I know he's on a mission. And I think all of you realize the mission that he's on as well. He's on a mission to learn. He's on a mission to educate everyone that he comes in contact with about what this thing called TODA is and what it's going to do and the benefits it's going to bring to the global economy and to the people that are going to participate in it. So because of Toufi and Dan's work and all of your work and all of the work of the people that aren't in the room with here with us today, we have the opportunity to experience a first, the first ever TODA.Day. So congratulations on the first ever TODA.Day. This is an amazing event. And as I mentioned earlier, this is also a very special day for me. Not only because it gives me the opportunity to see all the amazing work that's being done by the Toda.Network companies, but also it gives me the opportunity to put my commercial or my plug in for this thing called security. You know, we need to learn from what's happening in the world of computing today. With the launch of the PCs and the explosion of the internet, we've had tremendous productivity gains, we've had tremendous service gains, human benefit gains, and leveling of the playing field around the world. People have truly benefited from the world of computing. But there's also a dark side to it that people haven't benefited from. And we did not realize in the early days of computing and these explosions what risks were associated to all these great things we were doing. And we've all heard about it. We know that there's more than 3.5 billion individuals' records that have been stolen from corporations, from universities, and from governments around the world. We know that there's denial of service attacks every day that bring down websites and prevent businesses from doing business. We know that there's been attacks on critical infrastructure that take down nuclear power plants, and attacks from government-sponsored or government-on-government attacks that are stealing IP of companies like yourself, other businesses, as well as important information and research that's being done in our universities around the world, and stealing defense secrets from country to country. We know that our PCs and our computer systems are being held for hostage every day by ransomware, and that millions and millions of individuals around the world have had their identity stolen and therefore have their personal wealth at risk. We know this. We all have the opportunity to change what's going on if we think security first. If we think every time we're building our applications or our technologies or our systems from what we're working on about security, and we learn from what's taking place in the world of computing today, which, by the way, we have years and possibly decades worth of work to fix and plug the holes that exist there if we do get it done. If we learn from what is happening there and we think about how that could impact what we're doing today, we have the opportunity to change it. If we think security first in design, security first in architecture, security first in applications, security first in systems, we have the opportunity to protect what's important to us. The information that we use and trust every day. We have the opportunity to protect the financial resources of ourselves and others. We have the opportunity to protect the identity of us, our family members, and our friends. And we also have the opportunity to protect our children and our grandchildren from these things called cyber bullies and cyber predators, and who knows what else they're going to be as we go down the road, from the bad things they want to do to very young people, our children and our grandchildren. We all have that opportunity, and we can do it together if we think about security first. And it is so, so important for the growth and the explosion of what you're working on here day in and day out to be adopted and expanded. It has to be secure from the start. So thank you for the time, and let's have a great Toda Day.